Now, let me tell you my story with the K word, with Kaffir. First time I heard it, I was in, obviously, I was now living in Cape Town, going to the German school. Um, some kids said it to me. Um, Ironically, someone who like had a frenemy friend situation, like now I would consider him a friend. I'm not going to mention his name. Um, and he said it to me, and he was angry, but I was like, it was like you said, it was like a dud. A dud had fired, and I was like, okay. And my other white friend like pulled me to the side. He's like, oh, he's not supposed to say that. I'm like, why? What does it mean? He's like, go ask your mom or your dad, you know. And then later that evening at home, you know, I'm just like chilling there, forgotten about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, by the way, um, this kid said this word to me. What does it mean? And then my dad wasn't angry. I don't remember my mom really being angry, but you know, she could tell. She was like, hmm. And they explained to me what that word meant. And they obviously called the parents and was like, look, this is what happened. And oh, yes, I remember very clearly now. And he wrote me a letter and
You see,
he wrote me a
anyways,
letter. Hold on,
I'll
hold on. This
comment
is
afterwards.
this is the right way to do it because he wrote me a letter and he told me, look, I'm really sorry. My parents explained to me that that word has a lot of history behind it, and I don't want, like, even if we're fighting, I don't want to hold that over you. Like, we're just fighting as kids. There's no point to bring up all that history of it, and I accepted the apology and I was like, straight, yeah, that's fine, and it literally healed it. It was done. I was never called that word again. You know, we still obviously didn't always get eye to eye, but it
You
was
guys
perfectly
held
fine.
hands and you cried.
No, but Maggie, you have a very a strange way of perceiving it. Like your idea of let's never talk about it and it will heal itself.
Who,
That's
like, no
literally
one ever said that.
you did.
Who said anything about let's never
I
talk about it?
you literally said there's people who believe if we just ignore it, it'll heal itself.
But did I say that?
Okay, fine. It just came out of your
You see,
mouth.
you're
It just
trying to
came out
make
of your
it seem
mouth.
like it's something it's
It
not.
just came out of your mouth.
Um,
You never said it. Fine. But my point being is that when
oh
you
gosh.
discuss when you
What
just
you said now of writing letters, being pen pals, is the goyest thing I've ever heard in my life.
everyone's a little goy sometimes. Um, what I'm trying to say
That's
here.
copyright, by the way. But anyways, what I'm
Okay.
saying is, don't try. I mean, people can hear this. They can hear what I said, and they can hear how you're trying to shift it. So to keep that in mind as well. Is
Okay.
that
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but the whole thing of where the parents are coming together and now, because there's examples of this where the kids' parents now have to come there and wash the other people's feet,
What
or
example
whatever
are
it
you
is.
talking about? Where that's never. I'm so sure that's never happened. I'm so sure. I'm so sure.
Oh my gosh, it's actually so.
You make me wanna. You
It's
make me wanna
actually
now generate an
amazing.
AI photo
No,
of Jesus, a black Jesus,
dude,
and like white
you see
disciples.
like the white parents like um she's wearing like the domestic worker outfit, the mom, and the dad is in the garden. Like that's how they do their apology. Um,
Look, if
but what I'm saying is that this type of thing is just insane. It's just as insane as everything else. There needs to be like it's this whole thing about what happened in the present moment. Okay. Okay, this thing happened. I went and I asked about it. Now it's an opportunity to maybe learn a little bit of history. Okay, cool. I understand that. But stretching it out now.
What's stretched out? He literally, Mikey, I'm telling you that
He
you were.
told you the thing in the moment. You told your parents. All they did, they explain it to you.
Mhm.
But what what reparations do you need after that?
What are you
Oh, I
talking
see.
about?
That's a bad thing. I get it.
Mikey, you are
Now
talking.
it's like the people's parents have to get involved because some type of punishment needs to be
What
dished
punishment are
out.
you talking about? Mikey,
The kid
in.
was writing letters.
Mikey. You're not sounding like someone who's spiritually elevated. What happened was his parents are the best people to explain it to him. Not me, not the teachers. The parents can explain to him, this is what it actually means, my boy. So even though you heard your uncle say it or your grandfather, this is what it means. And that's not how you do it.
But we
And
know that he learnt it from the
hold on,
parents.
hold on,
Like,
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Now he has an opportunity to understand. Good. I understand. He understands. Now comes the next part, which is him coming back to me. Because if I understand and he understands, that's not enough. Because now I might have some kind of resentment. But the best way to do it is then he comes to me. He didn't write many volumes. He just wrote one letter.
volumes.
Hold
The
on,
dude wrote a novel about the time
hold
I
on,
called him that.
hold on. And then he apologizes, and I accept the apology, and it's healed. That example was the best example. It's a template for
So
how.
here's a
Hold on,
clarifying
hold on.
question.
Here, it's a template for how you can resolve something and it can heal. Because two things happened. One, he never called me that again. Two, I never felt any resentment towards him after that. So we've healed the matter through an apology. That's how you do it.
Okay,
Understanding,
here's something that
understanding.
I want
And
clarification
this
on.
is therapy 101. Otherwise, I'm going to book a
When
therapist
he
for you.
called you that,
Yeah.
you didn't feel anything.
No, I didn't.
So why would you need healing?
Because that prevents me from finding out later and then being like, oh my gosh, it hurts me. Do you understand? Because.
Okay. So did you not hear what I just said? Someone called you something. It meant absolutely nothing to you. Then people put it in your head that you have to be hurt about this thing and you need healing from it, even though you couldn't have been bothered.
What do you mean? I mean, I get what you. No, I get what
What
you're
do you
saying.
mean?
I understand what you're saying. That you are trying to put it that by explaining what this means, they are putting the trigger to be hurt into my mind.
I'm saying if it didn't hurt you when it happened, then what is there to heal from?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Today, if we meet, we laugh about it. But if it had not been that case, let me tell you another example. Let me give you another example. No, let me give you another
Like
example. Hold on.
we've look here, we've peeled back a good layer here.
But
So what I'm saying is these are good things to explore because it's a very simple thing I've asked. I'm saying that you were had actually surpassed it in your consciousness
surpassed it or never been exposed?
as a person who's black who got called a kafir, then being like, I don't know what that is. Imagine it was left there. You grew up, and a lot happened to a bunch of other people. They grew up, and the world just lost all its power. Instead of the older people coming and telling you how you're supposed to feel about something, even that other snitch friend of yours, who I would say in air quotes friend, where the word had power to him because his dad and mom was probably saying it as well.
No, because they were South
These
African.
people put
They
this
were South
idea
African.
in your head.
Yeah.
Just like the people put it in my head.
Okay,
It's the same thing.
That's one way. Let me ask you. Let's not make it about. I want to also tell you this example of a second time where it happened and what the difference is here. Okay, let me first start by telling you the second example, and then I'll switch it up so that we see whether your idea really works or not. So there's another example. For context, the reason I didn't really understand is because I had grown up in Germany, and these other two white kids, although they were German speaking, grew up in South Africa, probably also born in South Africa. So for them, that's how they knew it as well. Secondly,
Right.
another
I'm
another kid,
joking.
another kid, years later, still in the German school, called me that and would call me that when he had nothing, because I was a chatty kid, and I was not easily bullied. So like,
Uh,
if you
I
no,
know
listen,
that.
yeah, if basically if you try to bully me with words, I'll just tell you like F off. That's not how it is, and I'll tell you straight back. So his last resort now was, okay, I'm gonna pull
Yeah.
out the K word, right? And I would look at him like, dude, that's so pathetic. And here's the crazy part: he never apologized. I never bothered to tattletale on him either, right? So he's used
Was
this
this before or after the other situation?
after the other situation, right?
So
So I
the whole
knew
the word has been put like already placed in your mind
it's
at
already been
this
placed in
point.
my mind. I knew what it was, and I didn't feel the need to now like hit him, but I knew like, okay, this guy's trying to hurt me. Cool. Because he can't figure out anything else. And years later, I think I was like 22, and I was walking around in Cape Town, and he bumped into me on the street. And dude, this is the craziest thing. I could see in his face there's so much he wanted to say. Like him using that word against me. And I'm completely over it now. I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And he couldn't, it's like difficult. Like he had this difficulty. Like there's this
No, so
unease in his
explain it a
chest.
little bit more because it's a little bit vague right now. Like,
Okay,
what exactly did you see in his face? Like,
he's
what are you
like,
trying to
hey,
say?
basically he's like, hey, Mguni, ah, man, long time. Like there's something
So you don't
awkward.
think his life was terrible and he just happened to bump into you at that point
No,
and
I
he
don't
was
think
going
it's.
through his own personal stuff?
No, I don't think it's that, because why would it be associated with me? You're meeting me in the street.
Not with you. It's just like, oh, hey, man.
No,
I'm
it
also
wasn't.
happy, man.
No, it wasn't like that,
I've lost
because
everything, but I'm here talking to you.
usually when people go when that's the case, people have difficulty making eye contact. He was making eye contact with me, but like in this like, hey man, there's something I've always wanted to say. And at that point, it wasn't the first thing on my mind. I was just like, okay, we bumped into each other on the street. I'm with this girl here, beautiful, and we're walking around, and
So you
like,
was the girl.
yes, I was warm, but he really wanted to like catch up or something, and I was just like, yeah, okay, man, peace. And then I realized afterwards, like, oh yeah, that's what that is. It's that unsaid. I bet you, I'm willing to bet you, if we had spoken a little bit longer, he would have been like, yeah, man, by the way, like, I really never really meant to say that to you.
So you
I was
believe
going
if
through
he wrote
something.
you a letter,
If no, it
he
doesn't have
wouldn't
to be a
have been in
letter.
that,
Why do you have to be so
or
dramatic, Mikey? Why you gotta be so dramatic? Who's talking about a
it's
letter?
just funny, dude. It's a callback to the letter thing. I think it's just funny. I have this
Okay,
image in my head of like people writing letters, and it's
with
so stupid.
hearts.
But
Yeah, okay.
exactly, and it's like fragrant paper, and
High quality textured. You can tell there's some
it's
effort
like,
here.
oh, he's using his father's pen, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But like what I'm saying is that first of all, those things could, and you can admit this, have nothing to do with each other. you don't know his life. You said you were like what, 22, 24?
Mm.
Like how much has happened in that time? What if he lost
You know
both his
why?
parents or
No,
something like that?
you know what I
Like
think it was, why I'm saying that it had something
you
to do with
wanted
that?
to be that, is what I'm
No,
saying.
I don't believe it's just that, because even, and this is the trippy part, um, it doesn't, something like that, it just doesn't leave, especially when it happens in the formative years, it doesn't just leave your psyche. As you grow older, you inadvertently start to think. You see, this is the thing about coming into age. As you grow older and you realize, as life hits you and you hope for something and it doesn't work out, and those kind of things humble you, you start to think back on the people that you've hurt. And you think to yourself, I hope he knows that I was just going through something. You must have this as a person, right? I mean, I'm speaking to you specifically. You must have like a thing where you think, oh, I'm so ashamed that like I
You mean
treated the
regret?
person. Yeah, it's a regret. Like, I'm ashamed that I treated this person this way. I hope that they know. I wish I could tell them now that, like, I'm sorry, I just did that because I'm a stupid kid, and
Look,
something was
everybody
going.
has that, but the
Exactly.
fact that because he called you that, he's now destitute, unemployed,
I didn't say that.
moping around the
I didn't
streets,
say
and
that.
you're the beautiful girl, which I like. You added that information at the end,
I'm
really, just
giving
to
you
put it to
bullets.
him.
I'm giving you bullets to
The
shoot
guy
down
just
my
walking
theory.
around like us on the street, and oh,
Nah.
hey, I'm goody.
Nah.
Like all because of that one thing he told you. He was
No,
looking
but it wasn't. It
crazy,
wasn't. The
dude.
thing is, it wasn't just one time. He would keep using it, right? He would keep using it, um, to try and get
Okay,
me
so what
down.
about all those other kids who used it against me? Who just seemed like it. I've met them when we're older, and they all spiritual now and stuff, and it doesn't bother them at all. They're flourishing in life,
Yeah, but
but they were the biggest bully.
what's your
So,
idea of flourishing?
well, I mean, I'm not saying flourishing in any type of way where I can pick apart your life. I'm talking flourishing in terms of there's this joy in the person's face, other than or outside of the MD, that's like they're just like even when I spoke to them, I actually felt we had this camaraderie. It's like, hey, we used to always go back and forth with each other, and like
That's
you were always
so
quite racist,
amazing. You grew
but
up in
like,
such a broken part of society. It's amazing. No, really, because your
what are
experience is
you
so.
talking
Let
about?
me tell you why I'm saying this. Because the other
But
kid,
why broken? That's a bit
because the
strong.
because the other kid who said that to me, we met up when I was in university at a trance party, and he literally
So now you've met the guy before the time, or is this
listen.
the first dude?
Okay. I don't want to use no. Let's say the guy who kept weaponizing the word was, his name starts with a B. The guy who said it to me once, his name starts with an S. Okay, so S apologized. He had it explained to
Yeah,
him.
we
He
know.
apologized when we were kids, young, before high school, and we made up, and it was never a problem. When I met B, who now we're in high school, and he continually tried to weaponize it against me, he's the one, when I met him later at 22, who had this weird way of looking at me like he wants to say something. And I was looking at him like, okay, say it. Like, I didn't at the time think like, what do you want to say to me? There's something that's on your chest. I can see it in your eyes, the way you're looking at me. Say it. And then I was like, okay, peace. And I left. Now, S, on the other hand, who had apologized and reconciled with me, when I was in university,
Reparations were given.
yeah, when we were in university and we met at a trance party, um, we were laughing about it, and he was like, "Oh, I remember that time I used that word," and I was like, "Bro, that was so crazy," and we're like, "Ha ha ha." He didn't even have to say, "I'm sorry," nothing. It was good because we'd
Yeah,
already
because he
done that.
already wrote you a letter and you showed it to him at the trance party. Like,
I pulled it out
I
my
still
pocket
have that
like,
letter.
"Oh, since we."
I carry it with me.
But
Dude, it's
I
all just look here, I get that's your experience and I respect the fact that you're talking about it and what it means to you and stuff. But I just think it's bollocks and I think it's unnecessary and I think that his parents made him do it because they didn't want to be embarrassed that
of
oh
course there's a
man, my
part
kid's
like
a
that, of
racist
course.
like us. Like all these other things. And then when I tell you that there was a dude who I used to like not fight with all the time, but who would try that type of thing with me
Mm.
as well. Later on, when I see him and we have a good time at a trance party, which is interesting, we always bring that up in these conversations, but it was like I knew like what does it matter about what children are doing? You know, we know we're stupid back then. And then I realized like, oh, the reason we
It's the
used to sit
drugs.
fuss like that is because we actually had a lot in common. And we realized that when we met later on, like, oh, we actually are very much the same type of person. And of course, we would have butted heads. But none of that had to be spoken about. We didn't have to sing Kumbaya and have like some counselor there having us write notes and
So
stuff.
what did heal it? What you said that you eventually figured out you're very much the same, or were very much the same. What triggered that? Because remember that healing can take different forms. And I'm not saying that healing always has to be quote unquote writing letters. It can also take its own form. For example, one way that South Africans have been healing is exactly like you're mentioning right now, realizing that, oh my goodness, we're actually the same, or like we're
This
way
is
more
what it
similar
is,
than we
right?
thought. Yeah.
Is that I was at a party, as I said, and you know how it is at a party when you like you go with a group of people and then you end up lost and you just by yourself and you're on your own mission. And I didn't know anybody around me. You know, so it's in that awkward moment where you're just like, oh, maybe I should just go stand over there or whatever. And then the guy happened to be there, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, Mikey. And we like grabbed his hand, we hugged, and it was like, oh my gosh, dude, it's been forever. It was like in that moment, there's no thing of oh you called me that when I was a little kid, and I've held on to it ever
No, of
since then.
course not. Of course not.
It was more about oh here's someone familiar, and actually I've known this guy for years. I mean, even since we were little kids. Like wow, this is awesome. And then we caught up, and you know it was like amazing. And since that memory, I don't even care about the other stuff because I realize like, oh yeah, that is just stupid. People, you make mistakes. It's got nothing to. I've done the same to other people. Like I hope nobody's holding me in bondage. So it's just about letting things flow that happen and not having people tell you what you're supposed to feel.